Mayans were right. They were right all along.
If I've taken anything from this podcast, it's that the Mayans were right all along.
Oh my gosh! Fun fact: Coney is still alive and in hiding.
Interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special news bulletin from our partners in the Twisted World.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program for a special news bulletin from Twisted World.
So recently, I guess July 3rd, in a small town in Switzerland, CERN, a science company, created in 1998 something called for topic of point of discussion, we'll call it the LHC, but it stands for Large Hadron Collider. Are you guys familiar with this?
Yes.
Okay. So this thing's like supposed to study particles and whatnot, but a little bit about it. This thing in size is 27 kilometers in circumference, which is about 16.8 miles. So in circumference, this thing is just this large round disc.
Kind of dope.
Right. I tried to look it up. There's a lot of like scientific stuff behind it, but CERN, and you guys probably know this, CERN was the company that actually designed the World Wide Web in 1989.
Yes.
Did you guys know that? I did not.
I did not know that. That's cool.
I did. Yeah. They're also the ones that develop out the size partitions for storage. So when you are talking about have you guys thought about what the largest? So when I was younger and we were talking about the largest amount of storage and what you would call that, a petabyte had just been announced as the largest amount of storage that had been created. And at the time, it was created by CERN. So
what is a petabyte in relevance to, say, a gigabyte or?
So a gigabyte. So you start with it used to be megabytes and bytes, right? So a gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes.
Right.
And then, beyond that gigabyte, you have a terabyte, which is 1,000. Actually, I think it's a lot higher now. 1,000 gigabytes. And then a petabyte is above that. And I believe now that they're up to the quadrillion-byte. Well, there's some weird name for them now, but CERN is oftentimes the ones that test the limit of storage capacity, or at least they used to. So when it comes to that kind of technology and pushing the forefront of that kind of technology, they're usually involved in some way or another.
These guys are some good guys, right? I mean, that's how we see them. I think
they help me pay the bills.
Right. And Cody as well, right?
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to do what I do without storage and internet and everything else. So yeah, exactly. CERN, and I'm probably going to butcher this, is actually a French acronym. It's Conseil Européen pour la Recherche Nucléaire.
I think you nailed it.
It's pretty solid, right?
Sounds like you nailed it to me.
I took French.
Listen, sounds great.
That's great. It translates to European Council for Nuclear Research. That is what CERN translates to. So they were first founded in December of 1951. So a little bit after World War II. And the reason they chose Switzerland was, if nobody knows, Switzerland's like this super neutral country across the world, right?
Isn't it actually located in Geneva?
It is in Geneva, yes. So
yeah,
the Geneva Convention takes place, correct?
You're talking about like the breeding ground of like all, I don't want to say international laws, but like the certain like Geneva Code and that kind of stuff all kind of happens there. So it's a place where you would seem to have something happen that would cross borderlines nationally, religiously. It doesn't really matter. So this is a good place to put it because here's the part that I have to ask. It's in Sweden. I don't know if you guys know this, but like Sweden is a socialist country, and in general, they get a ton of time off. So I have an employee that actually works in Sweden.
Sweden or Switzerland?
He works in Sweden.
Geneva's in Switzerland, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I thought you said Sweden.
No, I think it's the same thing. I
digress. So I mean, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they get like 400 something days off when they have a kid. So they like never work, and then they take the entire summer off. So he's not actually my employee, but he is underneath my tree, but I don't manage him directly. We have someone out there that manages him directly, but he had a kid like way last year. He took like 8 months off. When I started, he was on that vacation still. He came back and I was like, oh, great. He's back. His name's Christopher. We're going to get him, working. He was here for 3 weeks and then they get what's called a mandated holiday for everybody in the country of Sweden.
Yeah.
So they all go from like July 11th to like August 8th or something like that. Then he comes back. He's here for a week and a half and then tells me he's out until November with more maternity leave because he gets more days. And I'm like, how do y'all live?
Cody's over here bending and scraping just to get a couple of weeks for when his kid comes.
I'm telling you,
guy's like,
send him and Sarah to Sweden, right?
Dude, that's
crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So because even though you guys are an American company, but because he lives in Sweden, you guys have to honor that, right?
Well, think about it. Most international companies have to function under a different name. That the same thing applies coming from outside the country in. So you'll notice things like Nintendo have Nintendo of America based here, or Toyota of America. They have their own national location inside that country. So for us, because we work with the government, we can own the entity, but they have to be able to function kind of separately from us. They can't have any connection or any lap and network with us. So yeah, pretty cool concept. But at the same time, the whole point I was trying to say is it's a country that has plenty of time on its hands. So I was thinking if it was based in Sweden, which clearly I wasn't paying attention, and it's based in Switzerland, I was going to say, how do they get anything done?
They're about the same, I'm pretty sure.
Clearly, we have not looked at maps in a while.
That's right.
But anyways, yeah, no, it's really cool. I was looking up the size dimensions based on what you just said. It's massive.
Massive.
Like
I had to pull up a map of even Texas, right? And if you go 17 miles, now of course Texas is the largest square mile state in the nation, but just go 17 miles like out from where you're at and look how far even that distance is. And that's the machine itself. I mean, that's just the machine is almost 17 miles in circumference.
Yeah, whoa.
So
that's crazy. And by the way, Texas is not the biggest. Alaska is the biggest.
Oh,
just for the fun fact there.
I did not know that.
It is nearly 2.5 times the size of Texas.
Alaska is like part of Canada or Russia or something. I don't know.
Stop.
We just
anyways,
like, hey,
back to what we're talking about.
1998, this thing started building. What do you think the initial cost was?
In 98?
In 1998.
Probably way more than it should be. In 98, I would say $1 billion seems astronomical, but that's probably what I'd go for.
4.75 billion. 100 countries, hundreds of universities, and over 10,000 scientists have taken part in this experiment.
Wow.
Right.
That's crazy.
So
well, you think about inflation, right? $4.6 billion in 1998. Like, that would be absolutely insane right now. You're probably 30, 40 billion if you compare it to our inflation today.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's like, where did that money come from?
100 different countries funded it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they reaped the benefit from it, right? You think about it, like the internet coming from it changed the world. Capital.
This is the cost for just the LHC. This isn't the cost.
No. I understand. I understand that. What I'm saying is the implementation cost of the LHC helped provide those things down the road. Oh, you're talking about just LHC. You're not talking about just CERN in general.
Oh, yeah. CERN started in 1951, and they had funding from all different stuff. We're just talking for just the Collider experiment. 4.75 billion, 100 countries, hundreds of universities, and 10,000 scientists took part in this experiment, and up to today, which it's still going on, of course, which is why we're talking about it, because they kicked it off July 3rd, or they restarted it July 3rd after being shut down for 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, for maintenance. It was shut down for maintenance.
Yeah.
Apparently. What it was is too many demons were coming out of the black hole that was created. And they were getting a little worried because of all the shadow people that were being created.
Well, dude, I had to stop watching the TikToks and reading all the conspiracy articles on this thing because it gets deep. There's so much out there, and we're going to get into it here in a minute, but it's crazy. It's nuts what people are thinking. But I want to talk about two that can be seen in the science world as credible. Let's start with Stephen Hawking. Okay. In 2012, I guess this CERN using the LHC actually created, which is what is called.
And they call it the God particle.
Well, it's called a Higgs boson particle, also known as the God particle. They believe that this particle is part of the creation of matter and space and the universe. By the way, I mean, that's how they kicked this whole thing off. Was they designed it to discover how the universe works and how it was created. That's what the LHC was designed to do. So, because I know I was talking to some different people and they were like, oh, possible nuclear this and that and blah. Well, it of course has nuclear capabilities, but for the sense that they're trying to create these particles, which again, we'll talk about when they kick this thing off in July. So apparently they've created 3 new particles that they've never seen, studied, or knew anything about, which is kind of scary in itself because they have no understanding of what they just created a little over a month ago. But in 2012, they created this God particle, and Stephen Hawking said that this could and will possibly destroy, his words, the entire universe, and none of us would even see it coming. So
isn't him by him saying that, seeing it coming? I mean, just
yeah.
By him saying that statement, and we now can see it coming.
He's theorizing, right? He has no proof.
He's seeing it coming.
He was, yes. Wow. God rest your soul, Stephen Hawking.
He's not dead. His batteries are just run low.
That's rough. Elon Musk tweeted recently stating that the LHC is demonic technology and that a normal person such as himself should be in control of it because its power, because it has power that this world has never seen. So Elon Musk.
That picture is crazy though. He posted it as a meme, and it is cringe. All the stuff it's a lot to process all at one time. It's got like that ghost face, shadow face, and it's got all the stuff that you're talking about, like on the image itself. And I didn't really dig into it, but I'm not really sure why he posted that. Is he posting it just because of where we're at today and kind of everything going on with the bots and everything kind of with Twitter, or just in general?
My understanding is that he posted it. So they kicked this thing back on July 3rd. Within a few weeks, by the way, it is now running faster and harder than it had ever in the past. So it wasn't just that they repaired it. Like there were some repairs they did, but there's a bunch of upgrades they did. And again, so that's where these new 3 particles have come in. And the fact that the statements from these scientists are like, hey, we created these 3 new particles that we know nothing about. And he's like, okay. So you guys are basically playing with evil powers. And so he posts this Twitter thing saying this is demonic technology. I think he's mocking them in a sense. The funny part is though that he taglines it saying that a normal person such as himself should be in control of it.
The only know that he made that meme though. I don't even think he made that. I think he
may not have made it. He may have just thought it was funny and sent it. But Elon doesn't just send stuff just to send stuff. There's always an ulterior motive. My only thought is Elon's smart and probably one of the smartest men alive. However, is he Hadron Hadron Collider smart? Does he understand the science behind it and the technology behind it? Maybe not. But if it somehow interferes or he feels like it's, going across the fine line, like you hear people who are heavily involved in like artificial intelligence have this same kind of concept about Elon Musk, that maybe he shouldn't, as an inventor, be tapping into AI as hard and as fast as he is right now, and that they really think that maybe he should stop or have a committee over the development and build out of artificial intelligence, because he's playing a fine line with like the Terminator Skynet thing. So I don't know if he's being serious or if he's just literally just memeing, because he does that a lot. But it always feels like something. It always feels like he has a motive behind everything he does. It's to drive something. What's the intent though behind that meme?
Well, I mean, only he knows, right? Yeah, probably. That's what I'm saying. He's
4D chess.
He's what?
He plays 4D chess.
He plays 4D chess.
Yeah, there's an actual meme on his page where he talks about playing 4D chess. Like he can see so many dimensions or so many different parts ahead that he sees chess as a 4-dimensional game, not a 3-dimensional game.
Not to go super off topic, but I couldn't figure this out. Somebody was asking me about AI, and we can have a whole nother episode on this. But that whole robot that was interviewed recently by multiple different people, like Tony Robbins, and he was on that late night talk show with what's his name, Fallon. That AI robot. Who created that? Was that him?
I don't know. There is a Tesla robot. I don't know if that was the one that was on those shows. I haven't seen anything on this, so it would be cool to kind of look at.
Yeah, but you guys should see the video. She plays rock, paper, scissors with Fallon, beats him, and then makes a joke about destroying the human race and goes, ha, 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 and the audience doesn't laugh.
Nice.
You guys see that?
No. But that'll be awesome to watch. No, I do know that Tesla created a humanoid robot that they kind of unveiled for it to be like a house helper. I don't know when the intention is to release that. And like with everything Tesla, some of it's years out before it'll actually see market, but it may be possible. I know that there was another robot that was created with kind of a growing artificial intelligence, meaning that it had the ability to learn and have empathy and those types of things, but it was a learned trait. I don't know if that's the one you're referring to. So I'll have to look it up. That's cool though, to see.
Well, it's kind of scary. To look up the Tony Robbins interview. That's even scarier than I think the Fallon Tonight Show thing. So real quick coincidence that I saw somebody had mentioned, want to get you guys' thoughts on it. So Geneva, right? And then where this collider is within just a couple mile drive, right? I didn't write down the city. Dang it. I think it's Davos, Switzerland. Davos, maybe, where the World Economic Forum meets, which is, of course, the world's richest, most powerful people come together, and like the quote unquote Great Reset is being discussed there and everything. Coincidence? Just kind of throwing that out there. Maybe powerful people and powerful things.
Well, and that's what we've been seeing a lot of. Doesn't this all kind of relate back to that Great Reset, right? We're talking about the Davos Convention, and there's Klaus or whatever his name was. The guy that runs the Davos Convention, where he talks about how everything kind of needs to reset. Not a surprise, right? At these types of things. I don't know. We were talking about this earlier off recording, but when I think of the collider, at the end of the day, it's a particle accelerator, and I'm just surprised that no one's running around at like light speed yet. Like, where's the Flash? I've been lied to all these years. Somebody should be affected and should have powers. If not him, some with dark. There's dark matter out there, man. We should be having some kind of powers by now.
Yeah, I mean, like, you grab one of the scientists and say, "Hey, let's throw them in and see what happens." Right? It's part of the experiment.
That's how shadow people were created.
Shadow people. Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know what shadow people are, just go look it up. That's related to CERN with the creation of the black hole and the dark dimension.
And we're gonna get into that.
That's where shadow people were created.
That's why I asked you. Yes. Supposedly. People are crazy. And I mean, we're talking TikToks that have multi-millions of views. So they're just sucking it in. One of these girls goes completely off tilt on her TikTok and is a little bonkers, but we'll talk about her in a second. Fun facts. 2 of the shutdowns of the collider, 2009 was one. A bird dropped a piece of a baguette onto some electrical equipment and caused a complete power outage.
But I mean, I wonder how big that power outage was. Was it just the collider, or was it like, I don't know, 100 square miles?
I don't know. I just talked about the collider having to be shut down due to a power outage. But you have a 17-mile piece of machinery and a bird drops a small piece of baguette.
But it's not a bird.
Oh, wow.
It's a drone. And the United States government didn't like what was happening, and they wanted to delay it.
This is where Cody enters and goes, "I knew it."
I think he's over birds aren't real.
Oh, I'm not over it. I like birds aren't real. I'm sorry. I'm like organizing my green deck because we talked about it before the podcast.
Yeah, of course. Here's Cody playing Magic on recording.
ADHD code. So you think that they would have covered their electrical equipment up, but 2016. A rodent got in and chewed through electrical wiring and electrical equipment, and also caused a complete shutdown.
Well, whoever the pest guy isn't doing a good job.
So
they needed a company.
You got birds, you got rodents. It's great. $5 billion piece of machinery stretching 17 mile circumference, and tiny little animals are shutting it down. That's fantastic. That can't be dangerous at all. So let's talk about the things that this thing has done in comparison with now current conspiracy theories. So 2012 was the last time it was turned off. Now, it wasn't shut down until 3 years ago. So it was on for 7 years, right? But in 2012 is when it created the Higgs boson particle, also known as the God particle. And many believed at that point, I guess the internet went crazy about this, which I remember hearing about this thing, but I don't remember seeing a lot of this stuff. But I guess the internet went crazy. It looked a lot of stuff up. And a bunch of people believed that we shifted dimensions in 2012. And now enter the Mandela effect.
Yep.
And
so I heard the conspiracy on this, and there's a couple of different ways that works. Rather than shifting a dimension where our dimension overlapped with another dimension, therefore creating multiple options, right? The idea that something like Sinbad as a genie never existed, or that the Coca-Cola logo had a dash, or it didn't have a dash, or if you remember from the old VHS Disney tapes that Tinkerbell would fly over the castle and like dot the I or something like that on Disney or whatever. All of these are things that people were like, I remember this as a kid, but all of a sudden now you can't find it. I always blame this on the way that the history has changed, right? And what we do now. So, years ago, when you wanted to contact someone by phone, you would pull out a Yellow Pages, you would look in the Yellow Pages, you would find their phone number, and that's how you would contact them, right? That Yellow Pages kind of became the thing to do. Well, then it shifted to our phones, or it shifted to the internet to find these things. But ultimately, the things on the internet are managed by someone else. Right? The phone book, as long as you held on to that physical phone book, nothing in that phone book changed. Now, it doesn't mean that the numbers wouldn't get disconnected or that people couldn't change their numbers. But if I looked in that book, the phone number for Aaron was always the same as it was in that book. It never changed. But when we started to rely heavily on the internet or our phones or technology, we started relying on things that were a bit less concrete and things that could be a little bit more fluid, meaning that they could change on the fly. We think about, like in our line of work, for what me and Cody do, somebody reaches out and says, hey, we have a new hire in our department. Can you go onto the website and update the title and the phone number for this person? And so that it shows correctly to the public. Okay, cool. You log on to the page, you go down, you're like, okay, this person, so I'm going to change this name to this person. I'm going to change the phone number, and you hit submit, and instantly that becomes available on the internet. Now we have the Wayback Machine that allows me to go see what was there before, if it was taken a picture of, a snapshot of. But essentially, that data is never concrete. It's constantly changing. And so I believe, this is where I'm going to kind of poo-poo on the idea that we shifted dimensions. I believe that rather than shifting dimensions, that we just now live in a world where the data that we have in front of us isn't as solid as we think it is. And so therefore, when we're going to look up those old memories of what the logos look like or what happened on a TV show, it's possible for the history of it to no longer exist on the internet, other than regular people posting things saying, oh, remember this? I can't find any proof of this. And so the source that we're going to try to prove these things to be right is ever changing, and therefore has the ability to be purged or be cleaned out or anything like that. So I think that the idea of the Mandela effect is cool. However, I don't know that the Mandela effect is a real thing in the sense that we're remembering it different. I think it's a real thing in the sense that the way that we try to prove those sources correct has changed. And you'll find that the way that people disprove these Mandela effects, or prove that what they saw and what they remembered is real, is usually from old physical photographs or old videotapes that are not on the internet. Usually when something is trying to be proven.
So with this particular mystery or legend or conspiracy, however you want to look at it at this point, what's your thoughts on other dimensions? I mean, both of you. I'm curious, Cody. Where are you at as far as do other dimensions exist? Is there another Cody elsewhere?
You mean another universe or a dimension?
Dimension.
Well,
I guess same one and the same.
I don't know.
I think that depends on how you interpret that.
Yeah. So they're interpreting it as I guess you would. I guess in what you're asking would be universe, where you have
another plane of existence.
Another plane of existence. There we go. So, what's your thoughts? Because that's what they're describing has taken place.
Do I think there's another plane of existence? I mean, I'd have no reason to think that there is. I mean, there could be, but I mean, I'd have no reason to believe that there would be, or would it be?
I wonder what the Cody would be like there.
He'd probably listen and more engaged.
No. We don't stray too far from each other. If we were real.
He'd play Pokemon.
He'd be playing the Pokemon trading card game instead of Magic. Or Yu-Gi-Oh. No, on this concept, I think it would be cool to think that there is. I personally don't see why. I don't see the reason as to why there would be one. What would the need would be? If we generalize from the idea that a universe, creates itself and does those things, which I disagree with. I would want to know the purpose of why there would be an additional timeline. What would the goal be? What would the end result be? You either have that creation theory or evolution theory, right? Which neither of them really exist in a multi-universe parallel timeline kind of thing, but really ties back to choice, right? That we have diversions in alternate universes or parallel dimensions based on the decisions or things that happen in everyday life. I personally don't. I think it's hypothetical. I think that really the concept of a parallel timeline is hypothetical. We look at it and go, what if Cody married this person and not this person? What if, Andy didn't go to college, but he went to the military like he originally was going to, right? Those are the types of things that you would look at and they create a parallel timeline, but those are just hypothetical in my mind. I don't see the point to what a dimension, a separate dimension, or those types of things would be. What would be the point to purpose to it? So maybe because I can't rationalize that way, that's part of the reason why I can't get on board with it. I think it'd be cool. I think the concept of it is cool, but I don't see as a reason as to why or even a how it would itself be created. So I'm going to say no, that I don't believe it to be possible.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I agree with you on everything you're saying as far as what's if you're the creator of everything and you're like, hey, well, let me create these side by side universes. It doesn't really line up, but hey, who knows, right? I do want to talk about real quick the crazy young lady on TikTok that just days before they returned this thing on July 3rd or 4th, whatever it was, she gets on TikTok and she puts, she's emotionally driven. You could tell she's got a lot of high energy and really believes in what she's saying. But here was her thoughts. She stated that, and this part's accurate, that the machine will now move faster, which we already talked about, so that they could create more or advancing particles, and it would vibrate higher. So her warning to everybody was to make sure that on July 4th, you do not drink alcohol and that you keep your vibrations high. Otherwise, you'll be left behind in a 3D universe as opposed to a 5D.
Cool.
Got that?
No, I don't.
Either do I. That's why I'm asking. Listen.
What?
She got like 2.5 million views in a quick, short period of time frame.
Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, don't drink and keep your vibrations high. Now, what exactly does that mean? That's what I want to know.
It means have good vibes without drinking, dog. Or else you're going to get totally like D-dimension, dude. 3D. You're going to get docked at a dimension. Like you've lost fourth dimension privilege.
Listen. The three of us don't drink. So does that mean we live in a fifth dimensional plane now?
Were you vibrating? I don't know.
I was vibing on 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, I was too. Yeah. Setting off fireworks. It was great. Vibrations. Keep your vibrations high. Yes.
That means
that's what
be
she
close
said.
to the fireworks so you vibrate next to them as they go
Oh
off.
my gosh.
I hope people are
People come up with the craziest ideas. Like, explain to me the logic behind that, and there is none. That's why you can't. But
and we won't reconnect with the people that were drinking and not vibrating for 7 years. Not sure
What happens after 7
years.
years?
I don't know.
apparently
said.
we vibrate back into time.
Well,
Yeah.
what if we drink it 7 years? Then what?
What if you drink it 3 years? Are you back? Do you fall back? Is that like you lose?
Does it delay my 7-year timeline?
What if I stand
I don't
on my
know.
head and belch my ABCs backwards? Do I go to 7th dimension? Oh, is it kind of like the
that'd be
movie
curious.
Everything Everywhere All at Once? Have you guys seen that movie?
No.
No.
I know you mentioned it. I should watch it.
Dude,
I need to watch it.
It does what we're
it's
talking
pretty
about
weird.
right now. Yeah, it's all about what we're talking about right now. It's
So
like
I did watch the trailer because you told me to watch it, and I watched the movie, and I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I did watch the trailer, and I had not seen anything on it. But it's trippy. They're like, her name's Eleanor, correct? I think it's her name. Maybe I'm wrong, but
that sounds
he's
right.
like going through dimensions trying to find this one version of her, but she basically bounces and gets pulled back and forth between all the different dimensions, and to see all these different versions of herself.
Yeah,
Trippy.
kind of. Essentially,
Trippy.
like she and her daughter become God. Essentially.
What?
Oh, it's so cool.
What is this movie called?
It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Don't be
And
giving spoilers.
oh my gosh, like when they ascend to become when the mom ascends to become God, you're just like, whoa, this is like blowing my mind right now. Oh, it's so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, the infinite possibilities of our limitless universe. It's so cool.
Wow.
I got to check this out.
That's insane.
Well, and it's like the MCU going heavily into this, right? I mean, I know that the comic books have done it or didn't do it or Mandela effect. I don't really know, but they're playing on this multiverse thing.
Well, everybody is right now. Yeah, everybody is.
So, probably the biggest watched TikTok. Well, there's two of them. Both of them reference Stranger Things, and both of them say, the one lady, she's a British lady, she's talking. She shows a picture of the Russian contraption that opens up the portal in, I think, season 3, something like that. I think that's what she says. And she shows it side by side with like a picture of one of the tube pieces to the collider, and it bears some resemblance. But hey, I mean, the creators of Stranger Things could have easily looked at this thing. I mean, this thing's been around since 1998 and said, hey, we're going to design it after this, because there's so many people that believe that this thing's going to open up portals. These people launched their TikTok specifically on the fact that this thing is going to open up a portal to hell, and watch out for shadowy figures and eventually demons.
So when you were talking about dimensional stuff, go ahead, Cody. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Kind of like the back rooms.
What is, oh, I forget. We talked about
this. Yes.
Did we? I forgot.
Yeah, well, you brought it up.
And I meant to look it up, and I never did.
You brought it up about all these ideas of a back room that basically opened up into another dimension. And I referenced back to the movie, was it Vivarium?
Yeah, Vivarium.
Or Vivarium, or whatever it's called, where he's like bouncing through all the different dimensions, and it's like the most bizarre, twisted, weird outcome. But the ultimate goal is that like they go into this one area, they open this area up, and the next thing you know, they're in a room that's in a different color scheme, or it just odd. You explained it better than I did, but I remember you talking about the back rooms.
Yeah. What is this back rooms? What?
So it's like the idea is that the easiest way to describe it is like when you're playing a video game and there's like you're performing an action, and maybe you like fall through the floor, or maybe you no clip behind a wall and you get into an area otherwise inaccessible
glitch
by normal means, right? You would glitch into it, or you would no clip, right? So you're like kind of like detaching yourself. When that happens, you kind of detach yourself from the game world, and you're kind of outside the boundaries of the normal plane that you're in, right? And so you're no clipping into a different plane of existence, right? How we were talking about before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these started happening. I think the earliest one is like in 2009. something like that.
Sounds about right.
And basically, like, this person, I guess, like fell through the floor or something. They ended up, I think, what is now known as, I believe, level 1. There are like hundreds and hundreds of these levels that you would call them, right? And you progress through these, and each level has different obstacles. It's not like a game where you're like, oh, if I make it to the last level, I win, kind of thing. It's more like your chances of survival go up or down depending on which level you're in. They don't nothing really ends. You're kind of trapped there, until you die, because there's no foreseeable way out, or at least we don't have any evidence of a way out at the moment. At least that's my knowledge of it. But basically, you're like, you drop in level 1. You're in this like office building with like these somewhat moist walls. Like it's office. It's an office space.
Moist.
Yeah, and it's got a not a great smell to it. And it just looks very bland, and everything looks the same. And it's a giant like cubicle maze, essentially. Not necessarily cubicles, but like office walls, in different meeting rooms. But they're all barren, are all empty, and it looks like it's leading nowhere. And the floor gets more and more like damp as you continue on. Like it's kind of wet, soppy wet for some reason. And then like at some point you'll probably encounter a creature of some sort that's in there, and that thing is trying to kill you. And so like you have to, there's a whole thing on YouTube. We really need to do its own episode on it, because there are so many levels we can go through and talk about on there. But I mean, that's kind of the basic
virtual game or something. No.
It's all like, it's not a game. Nothing. This is all like rumors, I guess you would say. Like it's rumored that this is a thing. There's footage on YouTube you can look at that are supposed, clips from people entering the back rooms.
The reason he uses the video game reference is because when you no clip in a game, sometimes you can find areas that were developed by a developer that haven't been finished, or they're not finalized, or there's different layers. Like I remember seeing in Destiny, people would jump in and you jump down into an area where there's like a throne, but it was never used in the game. So you think about hundreds of levels of things that were barren or essentially designed out to be something but never finished. So, pretty cool concept. I'd like to know what the purpose of it all is.
Well, and I definitely want to talk about this more, but I just want to make sure I understand. This is real life, this supposed little backdoor thing.
Back rooms. And
same difference.
That's the
backdoor is not exactly the same difference if you work in law enforcement, but not exactly the same thing. So just to clarify that.
So by the back doors, it's
back rooms.
Oh gosh, back rooms supposedly is a real thing. Like somebody has gone through and like fell into this other area that shouldn't have been able to get to, right?
If you're asking me if I believe it personally, or are you asking me if it's supposed to be real?
Well, you're the one that brought it up, so I think he's wanting to know, have you seen stories of people that have done this? Yes, I've seen stories of people that have told of their events of them clipping into this back room.
Right. There are many of testaments to people experiencing these things. There are many.
I saw one with somebody went into the balls at a McDonald's restaurant, into the ball pit, and they went into a back room.
Yeah,
like they fell through the balls into a back room.
Yeah. All right. Next episode, the back door. Room.
Oh God.
Oh God.
Okay. I really do want to talk about that though. That sounds crazy. I always thought it was a video game. Every time we mentioned it before, I thought it was just some kind of like virtual reality. I didn't realize these people are supposedly really experiencing this.
No, these are real testimonies of people who have supposedly entered a back room via a no-clip.
If you see Cody like somersaulting into a corner in a building, don't be alarmed. He's just trying to no-clip.
I'm just trying to kill myself because that's what you do in there, I guess. That's how. I've read a lot of stories. It sounds like people essentially just die in there.
Well, how's that? How would you get the story? That's what I want to know. Somebody has to get out.
I don't attest to being the expert on the backroom science, but supposedly, I guess.
That,
well, a lot of these, I know, like some of these, like, okay, so like for instance, there's this one where there's footage of the backrooms on YouTube, right? Or it's supposed like it shows you, this video camera that makes it through with this person, and they can take you and show you through everything. And then apparently there's like a company that's running it and knows about it and is testing with it, and that's why these things are happening. But anyway, but yeah, I know sometimes at the end they'll drop the camera and the camera will fall back into reality here.
Oh my gosh, we're talking about Blair Witch Project over here now. Finding a camera with all this stuff recorded.
Yeah,
we should do that for our next episode. I'm gonna call it now.
I think it's cool enough to talk about.
Yeah,
I think there's probably a lot more out there too if you do some research on it. So we can maybe Cody can pull up a couple of stories because I know he likes to tell story time when it comes to this stuff.
That's legit. I'm down. Let's rock. So, these guys, and whether they're just doing a science experiment, possible portal to hell, or you're now living in the 5D because you vibed and you didn't drink. Possible quantum black holes from this, going to suck up the earth and everything around it. Who knows? But this is a real thing, real large machine in Switzerland. You can Google it, look it up. And they're creating particles that maybe they probably shouldn't be. So anyways, what you guys' final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool piece of technology, and I think the science behind it is really awesome. To only have seen one thing come of it, which would be the God particle, I mean, maybe it's worth it. At the end of the day, I've not seen the intent behind it.
You should read the 3 they just created. I'm telling you, their wording is kind of scary.
Creating is fine, but again, we don't know what they're for. We don't know the purpose of what we're creating, and a lot of times a lot of times, I mean, again, I don't know that people can play God with the extent of this type of stuff. I think it probably does more damage than it does good, but I think that being inquisitive and wanting to explore how things work, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know how secret everything is. With regards to dimensions, I think the only thing that I would ever maybe believe, but not necessarily in a parallel or dimensional timeline, would be if you're a believer, you believe in something like heaven and hell, which is where the stuff like Stranger Things comes from when they're talking about the hell concept. But I guess that would be the only kind of, parallel things that are outside of time that could exist at the same time. The difference with Stranger Things is the hell in there existed at the same time as the timeline here on Earth, whereas in the Bible, heaven and hell have no, they're outside of time and space, so they don't have any, no chronological timeline or events that go on. So, anyways, I digress. I don't believe any of it. I think it's just what it is, but I think it is fun to hypothesize on the idea that maybe something got reset or something got changed, or we bounced timelines and collapsed another dimension on top of one another, and
giant monsters are coming for us one way or another. I get it. Yeah. It could happen. Cody?
I don't know. I definitely feel like something changed after 2012,
Yeah, we didn't die at the end of the year.
That was a big year. I mean, there was a lot of what's going to happen? Oh my God. There's Coney. Oh my gosh, you guys remember Coney? Oh man. Wow, what a year.
What a year. Thank you. Thank you, CERN Collider.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that maybe so here's my theory, right? We were headed for the end of our reality, of our plane of existence, if you were. The Mayans called it. They had it right, dude. They knew we were done for, and that everything was going to be happening.
That was that year, huh?
Yeah, and so they knew, right? And then boom, these folks at the what is it, CERN? The CERN company. Yeah. They were like, we need to do something about this, but we can't freak everybody out that we're moving our entire planet to another plane of existence. So we're gonna do it in secret. And so it's super top secret, hushity hush. They got the nuclear launch codes, and they freaking turned us into whatever reality we're in now. And as a result, we have China virus from 2020. So we just have to.
Now they turned it back on, so they're trying to reset again.
Exactly. So like, hey, we got ourselves to another pickle. We need to get out of here ASAP. We need to go to reality where we have cure for COVID and cure from bird flu and cure for cancer. And let's just whip this boy right into reverse.
Wouldn't the evidence of that be more Mandela effects, essentially? Right? We should have more of those.
I mean, we are. You're just saying that they're not real. We are having them. You're just like, nah. They're not real. Nah. And that's what's going on. Don't you see? You fool. It's right in front of you. You fool. You're blind.
The Mayans were right. They were right all along.
If I've taken anything from this podcast, it's that the Mayans were right all along.
Oh my gosh. Fun fact, Coney is still alive and in hiding.
Yes.
Yeah, he should be.
Not
we'll
been
come
found.
And get him. Make another video like that, dude. I'm going to go to Africa and get him.
Or maybe he drank and it just takes a couple more years.
He didn't.
For him to show up.
He didn't vibe?
He wasn't vibing.
He was
all right, I think that's the show.
Oh, man. That's it. Well, CERN Collider, we hope you don't kill us. Anyways, Twisted World fan, we love you. We're out.
Peace out.
Later.